edge of the planet, where the invisible line of the equator runs across the vast Pacific Ocean, lies a fractured realm that challenges almost everything we expect from nature. Here, the air often carries the sulfurous breath of active volcanoes, and the ground is built from raw, jagged black basalt. By every geographic expectation, this tropical crossroads should be a world of dense rainforests and humid heat. Instead, it reveals itself as a stark, sun-bleached desert surrounded by a cold, unpredictable ocean. It is a strange place, where creatures from dramatically different climates share the same landscape, creating one of the most unusual ecosystems on Earth. Welcome to Galapagos. And this is where our journey begins. To understand just how extraordinary this ecosystem is, we must start among the barren volcanic fields of the Western Islands, Fernandina and Isabella. This is the youngest and most unforgiving corner of the archipelago, a landscape of smoke, stone, and fresh volcanic scars that often feels more like another world than a refuge for life. Heat rises from the ground in shimmering waves, bending the horizon under the relentless equatorial sun. The marine iguanas. They are the only lizards on Earth that have fully adapted to life in the ocean. Every day, they face a serious physiological challenge. To feed in the cold waters brought by the Cromwell Current, they rely on a remarkable set of biological adaptations. As cold-blooded animals, entering icy water places enormous stress on their bodies. Before diving, they spend hours basking on dark volcanic rocks, absorbing solar heat and raising their body temperature to a workable level. Only then can they venture into the cold sea to feed on underwater algae. Even so, the water quickly drains away the heat they have worked so hard to collect. To conserve energy and protect vital organs, marine iguanas can deliberately slow their heart rates by as much as 50%. This response helps preserve core body heat while reducing oxygen consumption, allowing them to remain underwater and cling to rocks despite the powerful currents. One of their most extraordinary adaptations appears during El Niño events. When warmer waters reduce the growth of algae and food becomes scarce, marine iguanas undergo a dramatic survival response. Rather than simply losing body mass, they can actually reduce the size of parts of their skeleton, shrinking their overall body size and lowering their energy requirements. When colder, nutrient-rich waters eventually return, their bodies gradually recover and grow back to their previous size. After returning to shore, covered in dried salt, another challenge remains. The seawater they consume contains large amounts of salt that must be removed from the body. To solve this problem, marine iguanas possess specialized nasal glands near their eyes. These glands filter excess salt from the bloodstream and expel it in forceful bursts, creating the familiar white sprays often seen around resting iguanas. It is an elegant solution that allows them to maintain the delicate chemical balance their bodies depend on. Yet the quiet resilience of the marine iguanas stands in sharp contrast to the intense conflict unfolding nearby on the beaches. The Galapagos sea lion. These are not the relaxed animals often featured in travel brochures. They are among the dominant competitors of these coastal ecosystems. Across the sunlit beaches, massive males known as beach masters, weighing more than 250 kilograms, engage in fierce territorial battles for control of breeding grounds and access to females. pressure placed on these dominant males is constant. To defend their carefully claimed stretches of coastline and the females within them, a beachmaster must remain vigilant at all times. The challenge is simple but unforgiving. The moment a dominant male leaves the beach to hunt, another male may attempt to take his place. As a result, many beachmasters willingly endure long periods without food, sacrificing their own physical condition to maintain control of their territory. Over time, their bodies begin to show the cost of this struggle, marked by deep bite wounds, old scars, and the visible wear of repeated confrontations. Yet some of their most remarkable adaptations become apparent only after they leave the shore and enter the sea. The moment a sea lion dives beneath the surface, its body begins a carefully coordinated physiological response. To withstand the cold temperatures and increasing pressure of deeper water, blood flow is redirected away from less essential tissues and concentrated around the organs that matter most. This process helps conserve heat and oxygen, allowing the animal to remain underwater far longer than would otherwise be possible. At the same time, their respiratory system is specially adapted for deep diving. As pressure increases, the lungs can safely compress, reducing the risk of injuries associated with rapid changes in depth. These adaptations allow Galapagos sea lions to exploit parts of the ocean that remain inaccessible to many other predators. But finding prey in dark, murky water requires more than physical endurance. It requires precision. To navigate these conditions, sea lions rely heavily on their vibrissae, the sensitive whiskers that line their faces. Each whisker is connected to an intricate network of nerves capable of detecting subtle disturbances in the surrounding water. Even when visibility drops to almost nothing, these sensory structures can reveal the movement and direction of nearby prey. In an environment where sight often becomes unreliable, the whiskers provide a critical advantage. Yet beneath the surface, even these skilled hunters are not always the ones in control. The waters surrounding the islands are home to predators that occupy an even higher place in the food chain. Along the deeper coastal drop-offs, Galapagos sharks patrol the currents with steady persistence. Occasionally, transient pods of orcas move through these waters as well, bringing with them a level of hunting efficiency few animals can match. For a sea lion, a moment of distraction can carry serious consequences. Every journey into the ocean becomes part of an ongoing contest between predator and prey, awareness and vulnerability. It is a world where success is measured in survival, and where every return to shore represents another day won. And just when it seems the intense equatorial heat has pushed this remarkable ecosystem to its limit, the cold ocean currents reveal one of the Galapagos' greatest surprises: the Galapagos penguin. This is the only penguin species on Earth whose natural range extends across the equator into the northern hemisphere, living thousands of kilometers from the frozen landscapes most people associate with penguins. To survive in a volcanic environment where temperatures can become surprisingly intense, these birds have developed a remarkable set of physiological and behavioral adaptations. When the tropical sun heats the black lava to dangerous temperatures, penguins cannot sweat. Instead, they pant rapidly, much like dogs, using evaporative cooling through their mouths and throats to release excess body heat. Along the shoreline, they often shift their posture to reduce contact between their sensitive feet and the scorching volcanic rock. At the same time, they spread their flippers away from their bodies, exposing featherless patches of skin beneath their wings that help release excess heat into the surrounding air. But their most essential lifeline is the Cromwell Current, a deep, cold flow of water that travels across the Pacific before rising around the islands, bringing nutrient-rich water that keeps both the penguins and their prey from disappearing in the equatorial heat. The moment they enter the water, their awkward movements on land disappear. They become streamlined underwater hunters, using their stiff, paddle-like wings to propel themselves through the water with remarkable speed and precision as they pursue schools of sardines and other small fish. It is an extraordinary example of adaptation, allowing a species most closely associated with polar environments to thrive among the volcanic islands of the equator. The harsh realities of these volcanic coastlines are only the beginning of Galapagos' evolutionary story. But as the sounds of territorial battles fade into the crashing surf, and the powerful ocean currents carry us away from the beaches toward the isolated cliffs of the northern islands, the side of the archipelago begins to emerge. A world shaped by scarcity, strange adaptations, and some of the most unusual birds on Earth. And beneath the endless blue sky, a new chapter of survival is about to unfold. Leaving the volcanic beaches behind, the powerful currents of the Pacific carry our journey farther into the open ocean, where isolation reaches one of its most remarkable expressions. Here, rising like jagged teeth from the abyss, the northernmost cliffs of the archipelago stand against the relentless force of the sea. In this vertical wilderness, the sky and ocean seem to merge into a single arena where survival is constantly tested. And it is here that evolution takes some of its most unexpected paths, producing adaptations rarely seen anywhere else in the avian world. Look down into the churning waters at the base of the cliffs, where one of the most remarkable anatomical transformations in the islands has unfolded over millions of years. The Galapagos flightless cormorant. This is the only cormorant on Earth that has completely lost the ability to fly. Because these isolated islands historically lacked large terrestrial predators, the evolutionary pressure to remain airborne gradually disappeared. Over countless generations, the powerful flight muscles of its ancestors diminished, leaving behind small, reduced wings that no longer serve their original purpose. Yet the loss of flight opened the door to a very different advantage. To thrive in the demanding waters surrounding the islands, the cormorant underwent a remarkable physiological trade-off. While most birds possess lightweight, air-filled bones that support flight, the flightless cormorant developed a denser skeletal structure. This increase in body density transforms the bird into a living anchor. The moment it enters the water, its heavier frame helps it descend efficiently into the cold currents below without expending unnecessary energy. Powered by strong legs that function like underwater paddles, it moves through submerged channels and rocky crevices with impressive speed, searching for octopuses, eels, and other hidden prey. It is a highly specialized hunter that exchanged life in the air for mastery beneath the surface. Yet as we raise our eyes toward the whitewashed ledges above, we encounter another species that showcases the extraordinary diversity of these islands. The blue-footed booby. To human observers, these birds appear almost playful, famous for their bright blue feet and their famously awkward courtship displays. But those striking blue feet serve a far more important purpose than appearance alone. Their coloration comes from carotenoid pigments obtained through a diet rich in healthy fish. To females, the intensity of that blue coloration provides a visible signal of health, condition, and overall fitness. In a world where reproductive success depends on choosing the right partner, those blue feet become an important measure of quality. Yet, even successful hunters are rarely free from competition. High above the cliffs, another seabird watches from the sky. The great frigate bird. Possessing one of the highest wing area to body weight ratios among birds, these dark pterodactyl-like seabirds dominate the airspace above the islands. Yet, they are constrained by a significant physiological limitation. Unlike many seabirds, frigate birds lack waterproof plumage, and their small feet are poorly suited for swimming. Spending too much time on the water can leave them vulnerable, making direct fishing a difficult strategy. As a result, they have evolved a specialized feeding behavior known as kleptoparasitism. Using their enormous wings to ride thermal currents, they circle effortlessly above the ocean, watching for other seabirds returning from successful hunts. The moment an opportunity appears, the frigate bird folds its wings and accelerates downward. What follows is an aggressive aerial pursuit. The frigate bird harasses its target, striking from different angles and forcing it into increasingly difficult maneuvers. The chase continues until the exhausted victim finally releases its catch. Then, with extraordinary agility, the frigate bird swoops beneath the falling fish and captures it before it reaches the water. It is a life sustained largely through intimidation and theft. Yet even this aerial piracy is overshadowed by the reality found on the most isolated northern outpost of the archipelago, Wolf Island. Here, the landscape consists of steep volcanic rock and little fresh water, especially during the long, dry season. This remote outpost is home to the Nazca booby, a seabird associated with one of the most striking reproductive strategies in the animal world. Obligate siblicide. The Nazca booby almost always lays 2 eggs, but under normal circumstances, only one chick will survive. The second egg functions primarily as insurance in case the first egg fails to hatch. When both chicks emerge successfully, a deeply ingrained instinct begins to shape their future. The older chick repeatedly attacks its younger sibling, pushing it farther and farther from the safety of the nest. Eventually, the smaller chick is forced onto the exposed volcanic ground surrounding the nesting site. There, deprived of food and parental care, it gradually succumbs to starvation or exposure. Throughout this process, the parents do not intervene. Their behavior reflects a harsh evolutionary strategy in which all available resources are directed toward raising a single offspring. Only one chick receives the full investment necessary to maximize its chances of survival. Yet, in one of evolution's more surprising twists, this large and dominant seabird becomes vulnerable to a much smaller species that shares the same island. The vampire finch. Originally descended from seed-eating songbirds, this small relative of Darwin's finches has developed an unusual method of surviving prolonged drought. When water becomes scarce, the finches turn to an alternative source of nourishment. They feed from Nazca boobies. Moving quietly among nesting colonies, the finches land on the backs of adult birds and begin pecking at exposed areas of skin near the base of the feathers. Repeated pecks eventually open small wounds. As blood begins to flow, the finches drink directly from the source. Several birds may gather around a single wound, taking advantage of a resource rarely used by other songbirds. Perhaps most surprising of all, the Nazca booby often offers little resistance. The large seabird remains motionless, while the much smaller finches continue feeding. It is a striking example of how environmental pressures can shape behavior in unexpected ways. In Galápagos, the boundary between dominance and vulnerability shifts constantly, depending on circumstance and survival needs. Blood, stolen meals, and hard-earned resources all become part of the complex exchange that sustains life across these remote islands. Leaving behind the blood-stained cliffs of the north, where finches and boobies enact their grim survival ballet, the camera flies back to the archipelago's heart. Here, the frantic pace of the avian world evaporates, replaced by a prehistoric crawl. Enter the true, timeless titans of these islands, the Galapagos giant tortoises. Weighing as much as 400 kilograms and capable of living well beyond a century, these remarkable reptiles are living fortresses of flesh and bone. To survive on islands where drought can persist for months and resources often fluctuate dramatically, giant tortoises possess a remarkable physiological adaptation. Their metabolism operates at an exceptionally slow rate, allowing them to store substantial reserves of both water and energy. As a result, a giant tortoise can survive for extended periods without food or fresh water. Yet their importance extends far beyond their own survival. They are among the most influential ecosystem engineers in the archipelago, linked to many plant species through intricate ecological relationships. Consider the Galapagos wild tomato, a resilient coastal plant that grows along sun-baked shorelines. Its seeds are protected by an unusually thick outer coating that prevents them from germinating easily. To break this dormancy, the seeds often depend on passage through the digestive system of a giant tortoise. As they move through the animal's digestive tract, the tough outer coating is gradually worn down, while the embryo remains intact. Days later, the seeds are deposited onto the landscape within nutrient-rich waste. Only then can they successfully germinate. Without the giant tortoise, the wild tomato loses one of its most effective mechanisms for dispersing its seeds and establishing new populations. It was the remarkable diversity of these tortoises that would eventually help reshape scientific thought. In 1835, a young naturalist named Charles Darwin arrived in the Galapagos aboard the HMS Beagle. Interestingly, one of the observations that captured his attention came from a conversation with the island's vice-governor, Nicholas Lawson. Lawson claimed that he could identify which island a tortoise came from simply by looking at the shape of its shell. This seemingly casual remark encouraged Darwin to examine his specimens more carefully. He noticed that tortoises living on humid islands often possessed large, dome-shaped shells and relatively shorter necks because vegetation was abundant near the ground. On the drier islands, however, many tortoises displayed saddleback shells, characterized by a pronounced upward opening at the front. This structure allowed them to extend their necks farther upward to reach food growing above ground level, including the pads of tall opuntia cacti. These observations challenged many of the prevailing ideas of the time and contributed to the development of one of the most influential scientific theories in history: the theory of evolution by natural selection. It would fundamentally change how we understand life on Earth. But the same islands that inspired scientific discovery also became witnesses to centuries of exploitation. For much of their recorded history, the Galápagos were viewed not as a sanctuary of evolution, but as a remote outpost at the edge of the known world. Today, the isolation that once protected this fragile ecosystem has largely disappeared. More than 30,000 people now live permanently in the archipelago, while hundreds of thousands of visitors arrive each year. The growing human presence places increasing pressure on freshwater resources, infrastructure, and sensitive habitats. But one of the greatest challenges comes from invasive species. Humans inadvertently introduced black rats, feral goats, insects, and other non-native animals that have caused widespread ecological disruption. The Galapagos Islands remind us that life is remarkably adaptable, capable of finding opportunity in places that seem almost impossible to inhabit. These islands are more than a collection of volcanic landscapes. They are a living record of how species change, endure, and respond to the challenges of their environment. Every marine iguana that enters the cold Pacific, every vampire finch that survives a harsh drought, and every giant tortoise that shapes the land around it reflects a different chapter in that story. But the Galapagos are no longer as isolated as they once were. Today, the future of this extraordinary ecosystem depends in large part on the choices people make, both on the islands and far beyond them. Thank you for joining us on this journey through one of the most remarkable places on Earth. If you enjoyed exploring these unique species, unusual adaptations, and the many survival stories hidden across the archipelago, be sure to like the video and subscribe to Bio Anomalies for more adventures into the natural world. And let us know in the comments which Galapagos species fascinated you the most. Until next time, stay curious, and we'll see you on the next journey.